Hello and welcome to another episode of the Anime Lounge Short Flights. I'm your host Lance, and today we'll be discussing episode 5 of Undead Unluck. If you follow me up to this far, you already know that I'm covering every episode with its manga counterpart, and today's episode is going to cover all of chapters 9 and 10. And kind of like usual, it's following pretty close. Like it's almost 100% followed through completely. There's one difference I caught, and I'll get to that in a minute. But to get to the discussion of today's episode, holy crap, was today an info dump. We got so much information. A lot of it's good stuff though, because now we got a real purpose of the show and how we're really gonna have everything formatted for everything to come forth and what to expect. The biggest takeaway was, learning of the Union and more importantly, learning why the Union is what it is. And that's because of Apocalypse, the very first artifact that was found that is giving instructions, quests to carry forth. And we learned that every quest has a reward. And with every set of quests comes with a penalty if you don't finish all the quests. And there's lots of penalties that have been dropped. I think they said 98 penalties have already been the thing, which I found was really interesting the way penalties were described because they're everyday things that we as humans are already adapted to. And the list of that they gave off was sex, language, race, death, and sickness. Stuff that's just normal. So it makes me wonder before all these penalties, before this book was found, and basically at year zero, was like the human race a single type of human? There's no discrepancy between anybody, and everybody was perfect, and everybody lived forever. Because if these are penalties, that means that they changed the way that life was. So people started splitting off, becoming different races, started getting sick, started dying. That's so crazy. Um, so that's something to think about. Now, the biggest takeaway from this episode was the introduction of the six quests. Just to go over them and talk about them real briefly, the first one was the capture of Burn. And with that, we'll get an 11th seat, which is obviously super important because the more people, the easier all these quests will be. The second one was capture Eat, and that is with the perk of location of Unburn. So now that threw me off because if we capture burn, we get a perk, but if we capture eat, we get the location of unburn. So now I want to know the difference between these uns and these usuals, like burn and unburn, because they are clearly different, and I want to know the difference. Like, I don't know. We just need to see that. What do you guys think? The third one is neutralization of language, which was we already found out was one of the penalties. And after that gets cleared, we get the unification of all world languages, which is super dope. I would love everybody to understand everybody. That would just be cool. I'm learning Japanese because I want to speak a different language. But if we don't need to speak a different language, everyone just understands everybody, then that's going to make everything a lot easier. The fourth one is capture unseen. We saw that some random thing was just picking up an apple. So someone's just so invisible, and the perk of that is going to be the location of call. And the fifth one is going to be capture past. The location of artifact rebellion is going to be the reward for that one. So now, if the artifact of this book, Apocalypse, already has something big to do with the show and how things are structured, I can only imagine what rebellion is going to do. It's going to cause some more chaos and, I don't know, do something against what other people want to do, or some kind of big organization wants one thing and then rebellion is just going to, rebel against what they want. I don't know. It'd be interesting. And then the last one is capture soil. And then that perk is going to be the location of unrepair. So a lot of interesting stuff going on there. What I found very interesting is that even if they didn't do anything with these quests, if they just straight up didn't even all meet up around the round table for the quest to even start, a penalty will still happen regardless. So these things are like on a timely fashion. So they need to be taken care of no matter what. So I found that really interesting. We were to think of the Union as these bad guys, but in all reality, they're kind of the good guys, and they're trying to stop this godly thing on the other side of all these penalties. So that's gonna be super interesting. I would love to see more about that. And that's really going to be the conclusion of chapter 9. A lot of information, like I said. Chapter 10 was a lot quicker. It was just the suit stuff. It was the introduction of the suit itself and why everything was important. Just a reminder, the suits are bulletproof and stab proof. The necktie accesses public services and organizations, and the emblem participates in quests. Now, the one and only difference I caught was the anime added language translation to that set. I think that was added to the emblem. Not quite sure, but it was the only thing that was not in the manga. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then the biggest takeaway from this episode really is Uma 1129 escaping. His name is Garment, and he attaches to people's clothes and controls them that way. And it was really important that Andy was the one that got ultimately ended up with him because he's when he regenerates, he's always naked, and this guy will follow him around like a symbiote in Spider-Man. So I thought that was really cool. So yeah, that's really it. The next episode is going to take place in New York. We're going to get zombies. Can't wait to see that. I personally am a huge zombie fan, so I'm looking forward to that a lot. And yeah, so that's going to conclude today's episode. If you haven't already found the Anime Show on Facebook and Instagram, please go follow them. They give a lot of information for everything anime related, so you're always good in their hands. And I will catch you guys next week.